the very end of the film, Mary, played by Kirsten Dunst, who works in the Lacuna office, she actually works, and I think she's actually putting address labels on envelopes with these letters saying, this person is deleted. We see her doing that. Why that's important is we find out that she is actually a person that has had this procedure done to herself electively because she had an affair with Dr.
Mearswiak.
Thank you. Played by Tom Wilkinson, and she didn't want to have this memory of their affair anymore. She wanted to continue working there and moving on,
Yeah.
And the way it turns out is that Dr.
Mearswiak.
Wife
Mearswiak's wife.
Thank you. Actually says to Kirsten Dunst, you don't know. You don't know that you used to be together. And then the doctor has to actually say, we have a history.
Yeah, and it's very mind-opening to Mary. She ends up going back to the office, listening to the tape in her own file.
Yep.
And then she takes all of the records for all of the people they've done this procedure to and starts delivering them to them so that they know what has happened, because what she has realized from her own experience, and this is what we have seen also with Joel and Clementine, is that you can take the memory away, but the feeling is still there. And the thing that made that happen is still there because Mary still has feelings for Dr. Mearswiak. She's trying not to, but she does. And it is something where, she's playing through the same exact scenario that she did before her memory was wiped. She wants to impress him. She has these, almost like an obsessive type crush on him.
Yeah.
Where she imagines them being together and being married and having kids. And he's a much older guy who's already married and has kids. But she has these feelings and she can't stop having them, even though they have deleted her memory of what happened.
Well, and that's something we see in the film, because we see Clementine and she is with Patrick, and Patrick is armed with all of Joel's materials about Clementine, all the special things that they did together, their names for each other. He has all of that.
Yeah.
And they go back to the Charles River. They go back to Boston, and they lay on this icy river, which is terrifying, by the way. And
is that where they are?
Yeah, that's what they keep saying. They're like, I want you to go back to the Charles.
I didn't remember that part.
Yeah, I mean, the Charles River's just...
No, I know.
Okay.
I know.
No, that's a question.
Because they're in Long Island, so I just think that's interesting.
Yeah, that's why they wanted to drive up there. So they're there, and Clementine's trying to recapture this memory that she had with Joel, right? And Patrick's there, and he's got the script, but it's awful for her because it just doesn't do it.
Yeah.
So I feel like even if this procedure is done, you're going to continue doing the same things. That's what we see illustrated. We see that with Mary, right? Yeah. And then we see that with Clementine. So here is some questions, okay? So let's say that Joel and Clementine did not get this procedure done. Would they have gotten back together?
Oh, this is a good question. And I mean, I don't even know if I know how to answer that. Because, I do think that they would have still had feelings. I do think that it would have been a situation where if they stayed apart, they would have been sad still, thinking about each other. But it's goes back to kind of what I said at the beginning, which is they had this connection. They still had an attraction to each other and a major emotional connection, to the point where you know, it's kind of like one of those things where you meet somebody and you have a strong chemistry with them, and it almost, you have an immediate intimacy
Mm-hmm.
that's unexplainable. And that happened to them when they first met,
Yeah.
but it also happened to them when they met the second time after their memories were wiped. So I think they would have had like a strong attraction, a strong emotional connection still, even though they're broken up. But the fact that they ended up hearing these tapes about what they had said about each other,
Yeah.
I feel is kind of like what could make their relationship actually work, because they didn't have the communication. They weren't comfortable saying negative things to each other. And who knows if they will be in the future. But
Yeah.
the fact is, now they've kind of laid bare the very worst things that they have thought and felt about each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they've decided to move on anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what the catalyst is for them to stay together. And they also know what they're missing now.
Yeah.
Where they maybe wouldn't have known that if they had just broken up and gone on about their lives, because they would have still had that bitter memory of all the bad feelings that they had about each other.